It was nearly April, and time to do something I had waited all winter for. But first, there was work to be done. I spent the day editing, and then I stopped by Noah's studio to see if I could use his PC to activate some fancy new drone goggles. His spot is heavenly in the afternoon light. I always love stopping by.
Yeah, my fit today is pretty unreal.
And the next day I woke to go do that thing I've been dying to do. My Rover was still in the shop, so I was in my mom's car. I never quite feel myself without my rigs. But I arrived and boom, there she was. Old Blue ready for the road ahead. Or maybe not so ready, because she'd been leaking oil for as long as I've had her, and today was the day Mason and I were going to get to the bottom of it. At least she fired up like she didn't just sleep for 4 months. Not bad for a 55-year-old. And I couldn't have asked for a better day either. It was sparse and barren and the air was sharp, but the sun was warm and that was enough. And before I took off, I putzed around my parents' property to capture how everything felt on this late March afternoon. Spring runoff the color of coffee and cream. Cloudy swirls and foam bubbles. Never had a puddle looked so tempting. Snap out of it. Leave that for the chickens. Those beautiful Araucana hens with their strange white large-footed rooster who wears an unkept toupee. All of them ecstatic the melted snow had revealed their precious dirt. Oh, how I long for the priorities of a chicken. And the river, my precious river, my home, the thing that's kept me sane all these years. And I even told my mom I'd clear this little spot out so we could see the river better from the porch. And I'd put a stone bench there and we could sit and look out over the bend and take deep breaths and think about things and let the white noise wipe away the blues. The snowy banks ensured the water was cold, but I knew it wouldn't be long before the first plunge.
She has to start, garden plants here.
Yeah, right.
So I've got to get this cleaned up.
It's gonna take longer.
And of course I had to say hi to King Hooter and the Royal Danko. But the elusive cat Oat was nowhere to be found. And with all this in consideration, I was about a half hour late. But Mason would understand, because he knows about chickens, rivers, and dogs. And I'd be damned if he didn't have something interesting to work on in the meantime. And at last, that old Blue Baron burned sweet gasoline full steam ahead. But those balding tires feared for the infamous mud pit at the bottom of the hill. And against all odds, we made it through pit number 1, but the driveway to John's garage was another story.
What do you want me to do? You want me to go for it?
Blue was excitable in that spring sun, and by golly, I wasn't going to take away a chance for her to feel young again. First try, no good. Not enough gusto. Let's back this thing up and see if we can't conjure up a little more momentum. Yeah, this one feels good. Come on, come on. Ooh, second try was fourth in inches, my God. Blue wanted it and I didn't deliver.
I guess we'll give you a pull. You want to go back, give it one more run?
I know I can get it on the third one. It's just a matter of if you might have to push me into the pit a little bit. So I can't get any traction going back right now.
Yeah.
Well, third time's the charm, they say, so I flicked the switch labeled more chutzpah and boom! Blue roared like mad up that trough for one last hurrah before the operating room.
That's the coolant bubbling. Oh, I see what you're saying here.
And it was in this moment that I remembered there was more than just an oil leak.
How about that? This Mason.
In my mind, I saw a faded image of a long list of things to tend to written on yellow line notepad paper. It must have flown away with the autumn wind before Blue got stored. Kind of sounds like coffee brewing, doesn't it? And upon investigating his dump trailer, my suspicions were confirmed. Mason had indeed been working on something. It involved quarter-inch steel tubing. And what exactly it was, well, you'll see. So this day here was the beginning of a very spiritual learning experience with this truck. And I was determined to know this machine inside and out. And Mason's Uncle John, who was kind enough to let us use his garage, would periodically check in and give us advice.
But you go all the way in and all the way out, and
Nothing happens.
nothing happens.
It's plugged up. Something.
Yeah, probably gonna have to take the whole thing.
Can you baste liquid out of there?
Yeah, we could. Do you have got a baster down here?
Yeah.
What's basting?
You ever seen a turkey baster? And then start moving some.
So before we really got going, we had to let old Blue cool down a bit. And Mason showed me more of what he's been working on.
Wow. And then there'll be gussets here. Not my idea, by the way. This is, somebody else came up with this.
Oh,
I did all the work.
what's a gusset?
Gussets like reinforcement.
I see.
They'll span the joint.
So there's not much left.
No, I just gotta cut out this piece of plywood as a clamping frame.
Clamping.
And then back to a few diagnostics before we got into the big oil problem. A majority of the block and everything under it has been covered in oil, so we were going to start with the front and rear main seals, and then power wash the engine and see if that fixed the problem, and if not, we'd be able to pinpoint any other leaky spots.
2 minutes.
You just pump it for 2 minutes?
Pump for 2 minutes. Wait for it to turn yellow.
Is that what we want?
No. I think we're fine though.
It does appear that way.
We're pretty close to 2 minutes now. I didn't get that timer on right away. Now, one thing you want to do, always, before we get too much further, is mark the drive shaft. Because there's a weight. These drive shafts are balanced. There's a weight right here. I don't know if there's any on the other side. No. But you can see the ones up here. You see those?
Yeah, yeah.
So those are balancing weights. So we want to mark this so we can put it back in the same position relative to the transmission so that you don't have any problems. Here.
65?
And I learned the hard way to watch my head under the lift.
2 for 2.
So replacing the rear main seal meant removing the drive shaft, the transmission, the clutch, the starter, the bell housing, the flywheel, heck, everything that ultimately connects to the rear of the crankshaft. And while it's almost as simple as just twisting a wrench, you gotta be organized with your bolts, and there's no way around it. It just takes time.
Oh yeah, she's free. All right, now. Might be at 1. You might have to come and like get under here, and I'm gonna try to just like.
What's our end goal?
Our end goal is to carry this out of here, just onto the ground. So just not drop it. That's the idea. Let's not drop it.
Okay.
Up like that. Whoa. Okay. Okay, now we can go down. Okay, I'm gonna take it from you. I got it. Woo!
But on the first day, we got most of the back end disassembled and planned to replace the rear seal the next day, as well as take everything apart to do the front one.
Preliminary degrease.
See the one chicken following?
In the summertime, man, follow, like the whole flock will follow the tractor around because the tractor scares up all the bugs. And they're like right next to it, just harvesting bugs. That's
Grandma chicken died last night.
Oh really?
Yeah, the 10-year-old.
Wow, a 10-year-old chicken?
Yeah, she made it to about 10 and a half.
For real?
Think of something that's been cut as being dead, you know?
Yeah.
So like,
And so we went to Mason's for a late lunch before I headed out to shoot a property for a local real estate agent. It was a huge horse farm with tons of acres, and there were these 2 cats that wouldn't leave me alone. And one of them reminded me of my family's cat, Oat. And so the next day I headed back to John's garage in the mid-morning in hopes of finishing the job. I know that feeling. Now what in the tarnation?
I'll set up.
And Mason had nearly completed his project. See if you can guess what it is in the comments. I didn't expect it to be that tall. Holy smokes. That's gonna be And after a whole lot of twisting, we finally made it to the seal. Is that right? In COVID. But reassembling took longer than we thought, and so we would end up needing one more day to take care of the front seal. And so we were back at it on the third day, making our way towards the front main seal when we cracked the timing cover while extracting the harmonic balancer because we didn't have the correct tools. Lesson learned. But Uncle John had an old Ford in the back of the yard, so we figured we'd check that one before calling the junkyard for a replacement part. Wow. They call this the Hilltown AutoZone. I love that, whatever that grease pump is. Frigidaire. I'm in a bear trap. That's so sick. The color. It's a Volvo. It's just full of motors. A baby blue Volvo? Dude, what? I've never seen any of this.
Look at them all.
Holy.
We should be able to build an old Volvo without an old Volvo. The bug? See the old bug back there?
Your past life. This cab's in okay shape. This thing is insane.
We're gonna make wheels, I bet.
The engines didn't match, so we called the junkyard after all and got one set up for pickup. So since we couldn't finish up without the timing cover, and it was the warmest day of the year thus far, we decided to end it accordingly. March 25th, 2021. Earliest plunge we've ever done.